Represent your shit. Need a horn in the drum roll. Turn up, yeah! I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
Represent your shit. Need a horn in the drum roll. Turn up, yeah! I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
Represent your shit. Need a horn in the drum roll. Turn up, yeah! I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
Represent your shit. Need a horn in the drum roll. Turn up, yeah! I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
Represent your shit. never talked to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
What is up, FSU family? What is up, FSU family? All right, we sound good, we look good, we feel good, and damn it, we gonna play good, just like Prime Time used to say. Today, I want to go somewhat in-depth review of that UNC game. And then we're going to look at what's upcoming this weekend in the Louisville game. Should be a solid show. But before we get to all that, y'all already know what time it is. You are live on the Hangover on 863 Seminole TV. I'm your host, POLK, a.k.a. AloMoney, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Let everybody know we are live tonight on this great Tuesday. So just a heads up before we get started, I got people here. They are working on my AC right now. So if I pause and have to cut away for a little bit to deal with that, I apologize in advance. Now let's get to this. Let's get to the chat. See who's all in here. Peter Shields, what's good? Bobby, what's up? Todd Pope, nice to see you. CJ Canes, what's up? Raymond James, No Blooded. Tyler, pay attention. Dennis Wilson in the chat. He's got 20 people, but those are everybody that's chatting so far. So let's read some of them. Peter says we have to build on the good game. Yes, we do. We're going to talk about that. It sucks that Jennings committed to Michigan. Crazy that he commits and then we be a top 5 team. I wonder if he's having second thoughts. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. It's all good. CJ. Raymond says greetings to everybody. Feel good to be a Knoll today. As far as I'm concerned, good riddance to Jennings. I won't go as far as to say we don't need him, but I will say that if you don't want to be here, then we will move on from you. We don't want people that just want to ride the wave. Jennings had every reason to come here and be a difference. And he decided to decommit and ride the wave to Michigan, which why go to Michigan just to lose every year to Ohio State? Don't know, but you know. What's up? Just stopping by to tell you that FSU should have lost that because the CB was holding and the ref didn't call it. And the ref didn't call a lot of things against North Carolina, including some late hits out of bounds. But if you want to blame the refs, blame North Carolina for getting down 31-7. Don't ever blame the refs because you put yourself in a bad position in that football game. Isaiah Victory, what's going on? Stephen Dix going to have that middle linebacker spot locked down for a while. And then Daniel Williams. All right, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. Hold on a second. I'm gonna answer this question. I just got a question on my phone, and I'm gonna answer it in the chat. Somebody was trying to talk in the chat, but couldn't talk. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you can't talk in the chat, right? If you're just watching on like your normal YouTube, you don't have to like have 1 million subscribers or anything crazy like that, but you have to set up your channel or whatever, or have an account, and then you can actively participate in a chat. And that, so let's get to it now. UNC, Florida State, FSU wins, 31-28, right? And the A lot of good things to take from this game, but there's also some bad and ugly things. So that's what we want to do. We're going to start off with the review. And we're going to start off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because this is really a tale of two halves in this game. BB, Giuseppe, what's going on? First half. The good. Let's start with the good. Special teams. Out the gate. Two block punts in the first half. The first block punt sent up that Jordan Travis touchdown run. So special teams, energy. They came out with the energy that I hadn't seen from this Florida State team. Not just this year, but I mean, all of last year and the year before that. I mean, when have you seen the energy that they were playing with? I haven't seen it in a couple years. So that was great to see. Number 26 in coverage. I think your boy Asante Samuel is a little bit of a liability in the run game, and that's mainly due to his size. But in coverage, there should be no questions about what that kid can do and what he's capable of. Right? If Asante Samuel was 6 foot or 6'1", he'd be a top 5 pick. No doubt in my mind. Number 26 in coverage. Kando, J-Rob, Marv, McClendon. Let's just go ahead and say that whole defensive line, including backups. Like I said, McClendon was out there making plays. That whole defensive line, again, played with the energy for a tenacity that I hadn't seen in a long time. Not just one guy or two. It seemed like that entire unit was on one Saturday night. Josh Robinson had 2 sacks. Kando had tons of pressures, a pick 6. Marvin was everywhere. Durden showed up, looked like the Durden that we had seen previously, playing with some energy, some tenacity. Dennis Briggs comes off of opting out and contributes pretty well. Took 3 tackles on the game. Really had his impact felt. A little bit of insight on the Dennis Briggs situation, which I didn't know till recently, is that he didn't opt out. The reason he opted out, he had just recently became a father, and with the uncertainty around the pandemic and the virus, he felt it would be safer not to put his newborn child in jeopardy. After doing his research and talks with coaches and seeing how everything played out for the season, I think he felt comfortable coming back. So that's just a little insight on Dennis Briggs in case anybody didn't know. Steven Dix in the run game was 10 times better than anything we had seen out of Leonard Warner since Leonard Warner's been on this team. And just the defense adjustments as a whole, if we're talking about defense adjustments, right? Again, I'm going to tip my hat to Mr. Adam Fuller because he made the proper adjustments. Adjustments he hadn't made the first 3-4 weeks of the season. He blitzed off the edge. I saw 3 or 4 corner blitzes out of that nickel. Man coverage. Single high safety is what I was seeing in this game. Shout out to Adam Fuller for letting that team play aggressively and realizing that he had to disrupt Sam Howell and couldn't let Sam Howell just sit back there and do what he wanted. And again, the physicality, the energy, that goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about. The first half offensive play calls I really liked. A lot of that has to do with Jordan Travis really improvising on some plays, but I also like I thought that one play where we're backed up in our own end zone, you roll everybody to the right side, freshman tight ends running down the seam wide open because everybody's going to the right. I thought that was a beautifully designed play to get us at the back of the end zone. Stuff like that, I thought Norville did a great job in the first half. Emmett Rice played one hell of a game. His best game he had some great games. He had some pretty good games last year, but I thought you could see the real difference playing alongside Steven Dix, that Emmett Rice had, where playing alongside Leonard Warner, he'd be running in, they'd be running into each other, tripping each other up. They look more, they have better chemistry, those two. Emmett Rice played a good game. Pookie Wilson played a good game. We still, as a whole, that wide receiving core needs to step up. But I thought Pookie came out there, had some big plays, need more consistency. Offensive line continues to progress. Again, we're gonna keep preaching that over here. That old line looked good, continues to progress. It's still gonna have some few issues. It's gonna have its hiccups. Because ultimately, I think the talent still isn't where you want the talent level to be, but they are much better coached, more cohesive unit, and you can see that this year. No Leonard Warner has to be a good thing. Leonard Warner didn't get a snap on Saturday. That trend has to continue. I'm sorry, Leonard. Contribute on special teams if they put you out there or whatever, but barring injury of Dix, no Leonard Warner is a plus. Robert Cooper was a monster in the middle. Woodbay, as much as flack as people want to give Woodbay, I get it. Woodbay, to me, is still playing out of position, but I thought Woodbay played a better game than he had played all season. I thought Woodbay had his best game. So we have to give Woodbay credit when he plays a better game. We can't just keep crushing everybody because they don't play perfect. No one's going to play perfect on this team. Woodbay played his best game of the season as well. He had a big hit there in that first half where guy's going for the pass, drops the ball because Woodbay puts a hit on him. We have to congratulate that and point that out because everybody's so quick to point out the negatives when it comes to Lars Woodbay. And then Webb. Then, of course, LaDamian Webb and Jordan Travis. Those two are the keys to the offense. I mean, Jordan Travis just is a gamer. Didn't have the greatest stats in this game, but just he's a gamer. LaDamian Webb is tough, hard runner, got some explosiveness to him. I don't know if he has that great top end speed, but I mean, the kid does not go down easily. Love to see it. Those are the good things that happen in the game, right? Before I continue to the bad, let's go to the comment section. I had a feeling FSU would beat UNC. UNC not used to bring tables that high. J-Rob played his best game. I listened in on Louisville coach presser today. He's talking about getting Tutu the ball in more creative ways. You think Samuel Spy the right call? We'll get on that. We'll get on that when we do the Louisville preview. I'll talk about that. Asante Samuel is an island. I haven't seen us play like we did in the first half since probably 2014. Just the energy was insane. Dope was rocking. It's going to be interesting to see our energy level this week compared to last week. Will the energy be the same versus Louisville? Good point there, Giuseppe. Steven Dix led the team in tackles, made some mistakes, but he's still learning. Yes, sir. I'm worried we're going to come out flat. I hope FSU plays with the same effort from UNC. They can really build this season with some good wins. Anthony, what's going on? The wideouts definitely need to step up. Me too. Daniel Williams, that would be huge. Step back. Giuseppe looked like just Louisville had a big emotional game last week too. It was going to be a crapshoot. Yeah, Louisville did have a tough game last week, and we need to keep that same energy. All right, now let's go to the bad. This is the things I peeped out bad. As much as I'm going to praise Steven Dix in the run game, Steven Dix is a terrible defender in the pass. His pass coverage is bad. Not just him. The entire linebacking group as a whole are not good in the pass game. When they started opening up the ball, opening up the UNC, when they started opening up and getting some chunk plays there in that second half, it all started in the middle of the field behind the linebackers. And that's, I get it. When you talk about a guy like Steven Dix and the DJ Lundy, these guys are learning. Like I preached to you on Saturday, and I'm going to continue to preach, the youth movement is 100% go. We have to be on board with that. But with the youth movement comes these mistakes. Steven Dix is still learning the game. DJ Lundy is still learning the game. They have to especially on that last play. DJ Lundy has to have the awareness to understand that if you go watch that last play of the game, Lawrence Woodbay is closing in on Howell like that. Howell's not going to be able to run and get that first down. I don't believe it. The defense was closing in on Howell, and Howell would have been stopped before the first down marker. But Lundy leaves his man to go to Howell, and that guy makes a catch. We don't know if we're going into overtime. You don't know what happens after that because the game still continues. We were bailed out by a knucklehead play by a freshman. Got it. Those things are going to happen. So the pass coverage has to improve in the linebackers. That'll come with time and experience. But pass coverage is a weakness in Steven Diggs, and not just him, but the linebacker group as a whole. I'm not a fan of our red zone offense. If you want to continue to talk about the bad, which we're going to do here. I feel like we moved the ball great, and then we get in the red zone, and I don't know if they don't trust Travis in the tight space to make certain throws, but I feel like they just want to run the ball, and then kick a field goal. It's like we don't put any pressure on the defense, in my opinion, once we get in the red zone. I'm not a fan of the red zone calls. We need to definitely improve in the red zone, in my opinion. We left a lot of points on the board. We just did. Now, some of that came with penalties, but that we're going to talk about that. But some of it just was like, just run plays, just bad calls, in my opinion. So the red zone offense wasn't a fan. Woodbay, as I said, he had his best game, but Woodbay, when it comes to trying to pursue, he looks slow. Woodbay looks slow out there. I don't know what he runs, but he looks slow out there. Which is why I believe Woodbay needs to be used closer to the line of scrimmage, not so much in the backfield. Because when I see him out there in pursuit, he's late. He looks slow. He just doesn't look like he has the speed to keep up. So I would use him closer to the line of scrimmage. QB and wide receiver chemistry is pretty bad at this point. We had some key plays early in the game where the receiver just was running the wrong route. We had Pookie drop a pass that would have gone for our first down. Warren Thompson was running the wrong route on a couple plays. Those are mistakes. Granted, our quarterback is literally this was literally his second full game starting a college football game, which is why I believe the ceiling is very high for Mr. Jordan Travis. He's only started 2 college football games as a quarterback, not as a gadget player. Now, there's a guy you put out there and you just let him run as a quarterback, as a guy who's commanding the offense. This is only his second game. The chemistry will come. Guys got to step up. I need to see more from Jordan Young. I need to see more from just the whole group as a whole. Be on the same page, run the right routes. We left plays on the field. As much as people want to cry about that last holding call against North Carolina, big damn whoop. We left a lot of plays on the field. The game should have been worse than what it was. But this is a young team that's growing, so that's expected. But I don't want to hear nobody crying about that hold. Field goal kicking, yeah, that's the bad. He made one, but he missed two that really would have gave us a lot of comfort. Right, it came down to sweating. We would have had a lot of a 6-point cushion. At the minimum, a 6-point cushion if he hits a couple field goals. So, field goal kicking. And the second half play calling I also thought got conservative. Now I think they got conservatives because Jordan Travis got hurt. I mean, you could see it in the game. Mr. Travis was holding, his arm was hanging down, didn't look like he could even lift it. He was visibly hurt, visibly uncomfortable. I think that had a lot to do with some of the second half play calls, but I did feel like they got conservative in the second half and went into a not to lose mode instead of trying to win mode. Speaking of Jordan Travis being hurt, he's got to stop taking hits. And that's so tough for me to say because of his game. You don't want to tell a kid who plays at 100 miles an hour at 100% to reel it in. You don't want to take his edge away. You don't want to take away what makes him special. The problem with Travis is he's not the size of a Tim Tebow. He can't take these hits and You just have to hope that you can teach him to be like a Russell Wilson, a guy similar stature. I'm not saying Jordan Travis is Russell Wilson or ever going to be Russell Wilson. I'm saying similar size, a guy in Russell Wilson who like to run. Teach him how to avoid hits like a Russell Wilson. He has to avoid hits. I love the way he plays, but if he doesn't start avoiding hits, we're gonna see Purdy sooner than maybe we should see him. Or if Purdy's not ready, we're going to go back to Mr. Number One. And that's going to be a depressing day for everybody. It's going to be a depressing day for everybody. He has to limit the hits he's taking. Now let's get to the ugly. The good thing about the ugly, there wasn't a lot of ugly, but penalties. Penalties, not just any penalties. I'm talking selfish penalties. I'm talking smacking our 300 plus pound lineman smacking the DB across the helmet just for the hell of it. Those type of penalties took 7 points off the board. I mean, we were 2nd and 6 inside the 5, went from 2nd and whatever, you took points off the board there, Lucas, with a selfish penalty, and we just had a ton of them. Had a ton of penalties in this game. Penalties derailed drives, stunted growth. We got to shore up the penalties. Penalties were ugly. Akeem Dent in coverage was ugly. Number 15 of North Carolina had his way. There was no answer. We had no answer for Mr. Number 15, and he was having his way with Akeem Dent. Akeem Dent was ugly. And then the last thing on the ugly. UNC fans crying on Twitter about that hole is ugly. Stop crying. You're number 5 team in the nation, and you let at that point you let a 1-3 ball club get up 31-7 on you. You have no one to blame but yourself. I don't want to hear no crying about a potential hole when I saw plenty of missed calls go to North Carolina way. So, yeah, get out of here with all that crying. Nobody wants to hear it from the North Carolina fans. Eric Flowers says, I just wish we reached out to Charlie Strong and just offer him or just see if he would be interested because we need him. Daniel says, Coach Marv going to get Dix to where he needs to be in coverage. He's going about the business of making them freshman mistakes. Yeah, it's going to happen, but we're going to still point it out when it happens. But yes, I agree. It's going to happen. He's a freshman. Again, I understand and I can accept with the youth movement comes the mistakes. So, yeah, I'm there with you. Our kicker sucks. He seems like he sucks, doesn't he? Again, I don't understand why we made the switch to Fitzgerald. We started the season with the other kicker kicking. So I don't know what they see there in Fitzgerald that they're giving him the nod. If Travis makes it through the year healthy, thank the football gods. Yeah, that goes back to me talking about Jordan Travis, man. You got to love the way he plays, but, man, it seems like at the end of every game, we're talking about if this kid's healthy. Like, is he going to be healthy going into Louisville? They say the right things in practice, but the way he ends every game, it's only a matter of time. You hate to say it, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. Akeem Dent in coverage was ugly. Sure was. Akeem Dent had on cement shoe. Did you see the targeting Asante gives you a worse? Did you see that targeting Asante gives you a worse passer rating than throwing the ball directly to the ground every play? I haven't seen that stat, but it does not surprise me. Again, go watch that game. Go watch that game. They targeted Asante maybe 2 or 3 times in that game, and I think he pass defended 2 of the 3 balls. I remember one for a touchdown he played beautiful coverage, and the other one, hell, he almost jumped it and took a pick 6. I think they completed like a underneath route, and Asante was playing soft coverage on that one. That's why they went over to Akeem Dent and said, yeah, we're going to try you, because it just, again, if Asante was 6 foot, if he was Jalen Ramsey's size, man, this kid would be a top 5 NFL pick. His size is what's going to limit him in the NFL as far as his draft status goes, but Asante's a dog all the way. So, yeah, that was really that's the good, the bad, and the ugly from the North Carolina game. All that being said, good win. I don't care what anybody tells you. I had people, man, on Twitter, you see it all. If you're not on Twitter, make you a Twitter account and just start following FSU people on Twitter. You see it all. People saying this was a bad win because we let them come back. Like if this program's been doing anything the last 3 years, that we can say a win versus a top 5 team is a bad win. But you see it all on Twitter, right? For the rational fans and for the real chance that's watching and in the chat and all that, great win. Did we make it harder? Yes. But you see the talent level on this team. You see what happens when this team wants to play football. You see what happens when this team is motivated to play football. This was a great win. It was a building block win. After decommits and all this other stuff, and after being gashed by Notre Dame, it was good to see this team come out, respond, and put some of the haters to rest. People are still gonna hate, but shutting them up for a week, right? Because we still got another game this weekend. You go out there and lose that Louisville game, they'll be back and they'll be hating. But for a week, you get to shut them up, and so good win. Now let's move on. Let's move on to Louisville. Daniel says for sure, hope Purdy is ready at the mesh point when Travis' body gives up. Kid's a warrior. When we get back to playing meaningful football he needs to be number 13 jersey in the stands. He is a warrior for sure. It wasn't ULM, and it was the number 5 team. Exactly. How can that not be a good win? Any word on Travis' shoulder? From the interviews I've watched, you guys always are free to correct me if you hear something different. I heard he's fine. They didn't even say it was a shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they won't really go into any specifics of what's wrong with him, but they say he's fine. So we'll see. A W is a W. When FSU is focused, they can compete. Absolutely. And yeah, like Tyler said, they say he's good. They say that at the end of every week that he's good to go. And then he plays, and then by the end of the game, he looks like he's just been through the gulag or something. It's crazy. He is battered and bruised by the end of every game. Let's hop on. So now let's fast forward. And let's just talk about this Louisville team and what are we getting ourselves into here. This Louisville team, in my opinion, when you first glance at it, you're like, oh, we can go on a win streak here. But in my opinion, this Louisville team is a little dangerous right now. They've lost 4 straight games. Only win is against Western Kentucky. Now they are also opening as a 5-point. Well, I think it opened at like a 7.5 point favorite, and I think it's down to like a 5 point favorite right now, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe this team is dangerous because they've lost 4 straight, and they just maybe played their best game of the season last week against Notre Dame. The question is, for Louisville, does that effort that they put up against Notre Dame and still taking an L deflate them to the point where we can just go up there and roll over them? Or did they take that as a moral victory to some degree and build on that performance, like maybe we've been building on some of our more lackluster performances, and maybe they can, come out and win a ball game? I think they're dangerous. Offensively, I think they definitely have talent. They definitely have players that you have to key in on and be aware of. Offensively, I mean, just the quarterback Cunningham, he's got over 1,000 yards already on the season. He's throwing at 62%, 10 TDs, 5 interceptions. So be on the lookout for that. I think he might throw us 1 or 2. I can see him throwing us 1 or 2. Hawkins is the running back. He's got over 500 yards at 5. He's got over 5 yards a carry. And 3 touchdowns. And of course, everybody knows about Tutu Atwell. That's where everybody's gonna be focused on, and rightfully so. I mean, the kid's got track speed. You got Tutu Atwell, but his numbers aren't. I mean, he's got 321 yards, but he's only averaging like 11 yards per catch. You would assume that would have been better, right? And he only has a long of 33. And he's got 4 touchdowns on the year, which is good. And then you got Fitzpatrick, the other receiver. Now he's there. He seems to be the big threat wide receiver over there at 17 yards per catch, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, but he does have a long of 70. Just to focus on this offense for a second. Yeah, you got to key in, man. You have to key in on Tutu. You got to find him early. And I don't know if you need to dedicate one single player to him, but you do need to know where he's at every single time before the ball is snapped. I don't know if you need to spy him with this Asante or something like that. I would say probably you want to keep a safety back there just to be careful. But you definitely need to know where he's lined up on every play. That needs to be communicated on every play where he's lined up. Defensively, this team, they've struggled defensively. Now, last week, again, they played their best game. They played their best defensive game. They only gave Notre Dame, 12 points. So we'll see if they maybe have turned the corner defensively like maybe some of us think FSU have. But they've struggled the first 4 or 5 games of the season defensively. They really have. And we'll see, because I think our offense can do some things against this defense. I think this defense is probably the worst, not counting Jacksonville State. This is probably the worst defense we've played all year. Not counting Jacksonville State, because obviously Jacksonville State is bad. But this defense, Georgia Tech has a better defense, I believe, than, it's hard to say that after they just got 70 put on them. But I believe Georgia Tech has a better defense than Louisville. I know Miami does. I know Notre Dame does. And I know I think UNC has a better defense than Louisville. So I think offensively we can have some success here. They do have 11 sacks as a team, led by linebacker Lamonte Montgomery. But they only have 1 interception on the entire year. So I think if Jordan Travis plays smart, doesn't have one of those James Blackman moments like he had on that one play. That was it was the end of the third quarter at that one, and it was a first down. He should have just threw that ball out of bounds. We had 2 to 3 more downs to play with on that drive. As long as Jordan Travis avoids those type of boneheaded mistakes, I don't really see a threat there from their DBs. We just might not have the receivers, with Terry being out and these other guys trying to come along. We're very young at receiver as well. We'll see if somebody can step up in this game. And that is really again, you got to clean up the penalties when you go in here to this Louisville game, I believe. You got to clean up these penalties. We can't come out here and do the penalties things again, or you keep a team like Louisville around. Let me get back to the comments. Kenny Trill says, is Louisville's defense even good, or was that just a good day? From what we've seen, they're a decent defense at best. I think from the most part, what we've seen is that they've been pretty exploited. They gave up 45 to a Georgia Tech team. I think what we've seen is that they've been exploited on defense quite a bit this year. I know Miami had their way with them. Maybe they had a good day, and maybe they made some changes. Obviously I don't follow Louisville, so I don't know their so-and-so weaknesses or whatever in terms of personnel and stuff like that. And maybe they made some personnel changes or some schematic changes on their team, and they gave them a try against Notre Dame and it had some success. So we'll see there. Pay attention says, how is Louisville favored by 7? So if you guys remember, Louisville came into this season with a lot of hype. A lot of people said this team is going to be really good, and they're 1-4 right now. So I didn't see the Louisville hype then. I don't see it now. I don't know how they're favored by 7. I'm thinking maybe because it's at home they're favored would be the reason why they're favored. And again, I think the line went from 7 to 5. So I think it's dropping. I think for the most part, the bettors are saying this is the toss-up game. Hawkins is the truth. We're gonna need to run Fitz a point against him. Yeah. But see, the thing there, if we play like North Carolina had some damn good running backs too, and we contained those guys. I thought we contained them. I think you can do the same thing here. Every week is tough. Every week's going to be tough for a team like this that's still growing. Absolutely. If we play Miami now, do you still think they lose 52-10? No. I said that after. I still don't know if we win that game, but I said it after Jordan Travis became the starter. There's no way Miami would have beat us 52-10. So Miami knows they wouldn't have beat us 52-10 with the proper starter. We didn't have a proper quarterback, so that situation got pretty bad. Listening to the coach today, it's the same message as our coaches. They at the bottom, and they know it. Who comes out flattered this week will lose, I think. There you go. So if you listen to the Louisville coaches, they are kind of preaching a similar message. Louisville is going to come out ready to play. The question is, do we come out with the same energy and focus as last Saturday? It's our game to lose. FSU by 7. We win by 14. Phil DeCane says what's good. T2Y, no blooded. You're looking better than Lou. Hearing more about Brian Robinson. They did mention Brian Robertson getting healthy with potential that maybe we see him. That's a guy that I think is the most talented receiver we've recruited this past cycle. And injuries just have derailed what could have potentially been a chance for him to come out here and shine. We need guys to step up. And if Brian Robinson is available, I would love to see him get out there. Kentron Portier, I don't believe we saw him at all against North Carolina. Let's see him out there, maybe some. We got to find some answers at the receiver position for sure. We need to score early and often on this defense because our D is so inconsistent. The offense needs to call more screen passes. Their coach was talking about their draw game with Cunningham and the larger message of him running more, finding better ways to get to the ball. I would assume they're going to try to run. Now, if you look at Cunningham's running numbers, he doesn't have his running numbers this year has been very similar to Sam Howell's. Cunningham is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Cunningham has decided to be more of a pocket passer, it seems, this year. Does that mean they come out and try to utilize his legs? I mean, Jeff Sims had success utilizing his legs against us. I have to believe that Fuller, if the defensive line plays like it did against North Carolina, I'm okay. You can try to run him if you want, but he's gonna get beat up like Sam Howell did. If the defensive line takes a step back this week to what we have seen the first 3 weeks, then defensively could be a long game for Florida State. We can win every game left on the schedule outside of Clemson. I believe too. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win that. I think logically you say FSU maybe drops a game or 2 along the way. But if what we saw against North Carolina is the new team, where, yes, we're going to have mistakes, but just the energy, the passion, if they're just going to play like that, then we can win. I mean, we're catching a break. NC State is going back to Bailey Hockman, so we already know we can rattle that guy because their quarterback broke his ankle, I believe. So we're catching some breaks on the injury front. We look at the rest of the schedule. Again, outside of Clemson, I agree. We can win every game on the schedule. What's going on, Yella? Thompson had a cool game, but we need to step up a little more. Thompson had a big catch down the sideline before the half. Absolutely. That was a great catch. But Thompson has to get more consistent in his route running. His route running is why some of the as a whole, I think they only completed 9 passes on the game. Some of that was wide receivers dropping balls and poor route running. The quarterback and wide receivers was on 2 different pages there. Team is more hushed about injuries, I've noticed. I don't I think I get where you're getting at there. Hold on a second. Let me take a drink. I there's guys that we find out are hurt who they're not even listed on the injury report. Again, our first time seeing Miko Dotson was last week. Come to find out, the guy's been battling injuries. Terry was battling injuries, and then all of a sudden he's getting surgery. So yeah, I agree. They're being a little bit they're being a little bit what's the word like non-transparent, I guess, on the injury front. Where was Toafili on Saturday? I saw him in the game on a couple plays. I think the deal with Toafili Saturday was they were going with the hot hand, and Webb was running hard and he was running great that game. So I understand that. I did see Toafili on a couple plays, but I think they went with the hot hand and the guy that was really in the groove. And I can't be mad with him there. FSU is going to win, but it'll be close. Y'all should go for the big plays on them. Their defense is terrible. Don't let Tutu Cunningham or EB beat y'all. I hitch FSU defense going to show up. The one against UNC or the one against Miami. It's all about how, in my opinion, they let these guys play, Derek. Again, did players play better against North Carolina? Yeah, they did. I thought players were also allowed to play more freely than they were ever allowed to play the previous 3 weeks. I think you saw guys play freely, play in more natural positions. They obviously made the personnel moves. So I think that contributed a lot to the defense. If Adam Fuller continues that trend and don't go back to having these kids think hard, just let them get out there, react, and play football. I think you'll see a similar defense. Louisville's going to try to stop JT from scrambling. But what I've seen, JT's throws aren't so impressive, so they're going to force you guys to beat them in the air like us. I think North Carolina and Notre Dame, I think a lot of people are going to try to, they tried to stop Jordan Travis from scrambling as well. If you watch Jordan Travis, Phil, he makes his best throws scrambling. He makes his best plays when he's improvising. So, yeah, they can try to stop him scrambling. I got it, but we'll see. Helton can be a big playmaker. He had 2 plays where he made amazing. I like Helton a lot. It's just Helton is, 5'8"? I like him, and he's still playing with a knee brace on. And I don't think we're going to see the Helton we're supposed to see until he takes that damn knee brace off. I hate seeing a skill position player with a knee brace on because I know his movement's limited. You don't see the wideouts running post or wheel routes. This offense doesn't really call for those type of plays, Todd. It's really the quick slants, the bubble screens, the go routes. You're not going to see too many of those type of routes in this type of quick for one read offense, right? They're not sitting back and letting routes develop. That's not the type of offense we have right now. You'll see Toafili when our screen game comes back. Since game 1, we've been wondering why they aren't involving Keyshawn more. I hope those 2 catches woke the coaches up more. The boy plays way. That's true. He does play bigger than he is. The D will not regress. They to use Wren in the offense. I don't really see a place for Corey Wren in the offense, in my opinion. Our backfield is pretty loaded. I mean, Webb and Toafili and Corbin are going to get the carries in the running back room. Ja'Kai Douglas seems to be, if you want to talk about just freshmen, he seems to be the one running back off the bench who they do split out wide and try to get him involved in the screen game. Unless you feel like Wren can make a contribution at receiver, I still don't believe Corey Wren is physically ready to be taking 15, 20 snaps a game. Corey Wren came at a high school, I think, what was his list? He was like 170 pounds at like 5'9" or something. Some of these kids, their bodies got to get ready. I don't know if Corey Wren's ready to contribute. We got to come in with energy and humble ourselves and think that the main thing, we definitely need to come with that same energy. Definitely got to come in with that same energy. Derek says they simplified the defense. They absolutely did. That's what I said. They simplified it They simplified it. They let the guys play without thinking. And again, benching a Leonard Warner definitely helps. Getting a Dennis Briggs back, which I didn't even think was going to be a great or big contribution, definitely helped. I saw Mari Gaynor playing more on the edge. Now, Gaynor snaps really decreased in that UNC game. It's going to be interesting to see where they try to line him up in this upcoming game. I lost my spot. Okay. Louisville's defense is just undisciplined. We'll see how maybe they turned the corner against Notre Dame. We'll see how they do this weekend. Webb was going to lock down that spot for a while. Toafili and Corbin are younger guys coming in the next few years. Will be plenty of snaps, but Webb is looking like our guy for the long haul. What does the ACC refs have against FSU? There were a couple late hits. That's, again, those late hits are the exact reason why I say North Carolina, I don't want to hear anything about a holding call. That particular game, it looked for the most part they were letting guys play. Webb runs like he has a family feud, straight up. He does have a family. I don't know his personal life. I don't know if he has like kids or anything, but yeah, he runs like he's trying to make some money on Sundays, for damn sure. If FSU barely nudged a guy on the other team close to out of bounds, here comes a flag. But when we get out of bounds, the refs have kind of been if you watched us for over the past few years, it seems like we can always get the bad end of the stick with the refs. Ren didn't look too fast on those returns. Webb looked faster with pads on. Right. Some guys have track speed. Some guys, have football speed. Absolutely good point right there, Tyler. Ren has to bulk up, get the body right, and then that speed can translate to the football field. Right now, I think Ren has track speed. I don't know if he has football speed. Ren's got to get his body right. That's all it is. Yeah, they put him on kick return, and he didn't look that hot. He didn't look fast. He didn't look explosive. So we don't need to rush all the freshmen, right? When we said a youth movement, we wanted a youth movement at key positions. Linebackers, offensive line, maybe some receivers, maybe some DBs. We don't need a youth movement everywhere. And quite frankly, I don't think, obviously quarterback, but I don't think Wren is better than any of the guys above him. Like if I felt like Corey Wren was better than Ja'Kai Douglas or better than Toafili or better than Corbin or better than Webb, I'd be like, man, we need to get him on the field. Name me who do anybody think Corey Wren is better than? I don't think he's better than any of those guys. We know he's fast, but there's a lot more to football than just speed, guys. There's a lot more to football than just speed. And quite frankly, if your agility is not up to par, that speed really means nothing. If you can't stop and start on a dime, make guys miss, straight line speed only going to get you so far. Send Terry on bombs. Terry's out. Terry's hurt. Had knee surgery, so Terry's not playing. Kenny Trill, we call Webb Spin Master. Yes, sir. What's up, Terrence? Hurricane, what's up, Hope? How you doing, Hurricane? Do you think Hamza will play this year? I don't. I said it a couple weeks ago. I don't think it's smart for him to play. Whether or not he goes to the NFL after sitting out a whole year is another question. From what I hear, he's actually still limping. Like, he's not on crutches or anything, but I hear he still walks with a noticeable limp. Not like a huge limp, but I hear he still walks with a noticeable limp. I don't expect to see Hamza Nasruddin play. Even if he's 100% healthy and those rumors of him limping are totally wrong, I don't think he's going to play this year. Terry is out, yeah. No, I don't think Terry plays. Travis Jay's a baller. Travis Jay's a baller, and Travis Jay was playing on one wheel against North Carolina. Didn't have his greatest game. I think if you go back and watch the tape, he missed some plays, but that guy has been battling through injuries as well. So shout out to Travis Jay. We as a fan base need to keep the same energy, not come out flat stuff. All has this team's going to be inconsistent for some time. Ren probably has that top end speed, but guys like Webb and Toafili look way quicker. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Ren will be okay. Ren will be fine. I think Ren will one day be a key player for this team. Just give them time. Everybody doesn't need to be rushed out there. How come there hasn't been much talk about Browley played great Saturday? Browley and Green played great Saturday. Our fans need to realize that even if we lose this game, that you can tell a change is coming. Some people need to be patient. When it's not like for me, man, it's not necessarily about the wins and losses. I get it, but if you lose this game against Louisville, because let's be honest, right? Is this team's not in a position where they can start saying this is a win, right? We're still building something, we're still learning. These guys are still learning how to win. I think that was that's why I think that win against North Carolina was so big, because you put in all that hard work and you won it, and you understand now what it takes to win, right? But even if you go out there and lose this week, it depends on how you lose. If that's a tough competitive game, and those guys go out there and play 110%, and Louisville just makes more plays, I can live with that. I can't live with guys just running wide open, blowing assignments. Those type of things I can't live with. I can live with a tough competitive game. I can't live with embarrassment where you can just see that guys aren't being competitive. So that's just kind of my thing when it comes to all of this. Ren's path to the field this year was special teams. I think Jay is the answer until Ren's body is ready for D1 ball. Currently, yeah, good point, Daniel. I think a lot of us thought with Ren we would see him on special teams initially because of the speed and on a kick return, you get a guy like him in wide open space. Maybe he can make some things. I just don't think his body's there. And but once his body gets there, I think he'll be fine, man. I think Ren will be fine. What up with Robert Cooper, UFC? So did y'all see that? I know T2Y would come in here with some foolishness, but it did. Did y'all see the clip of? So why Robert Cooper did it? I get. He's lucky he did not get ejected or flagged for that. So a UNC player went at Cooper's knees, and Cooper snapped, and he started like caveman, like Hulk smashing this dude on the ground. It was actually a funny clip. At the same time, it pisses you off because those are the things as a young team we need to get rid of, right? That could have cost us. If you haven't seen that clip, go find it. I saw it on Twitter. You could probably YouTube it or something. I don't know. But yeah, Robert Cooper was Hulk smashing one of the UNC players on the field. Like, I'm talking about beating his ass. Like, throwing full punches, man. Go watch. But that's because he tried to chop him in the knees. So I get it. I get it. But luckily, he got away with that. You just got to be more disciplined, man. I get it. That dude tried to take you out with a dirty play. But beat him on the scoreboard. You know what I'm saying? Beat him on the scoreboard. Losing to Louisville is not an option. I feel you. I feel you. I'm just being realistic about it. And the realistic thing is, Louisville got D1 players too. And FSU's defense has played one good game all season. One. Is that one game, the trend? When you talk about trends, what's the trend? The trend is bad over good. Maybe we can set a new trend. But right now, what we've seen says the defense is more likely to play bad than it is to play good. Now we're hoping they build. I hope they build on it. I really do. I actually personally think they turned the corner. They figured out some things on defense that they're doing right, and they're going to continue to use that. I believe that. But realistically, it's not like it's impossible for them to go to Louisville and lose that game. I'm alarmed that people are assuming we'll get 7 to 8 wins. The only way that happens is if we win out. What are we at right now? We're 2-3. Let's assume you win the next 3 games. That gets you to 5-3. Then you go again to Clemson. We'll take an L. And then we're 5-4, and then you win out. That's 7 wins, right? Then you probably get a bowl game. Yeah, so 7, 8 wins. Is it possible? Yeah, theoretically it's possible. I personally think you're going to drop a game on top of dropping the Clemson game somewhere. I personally believe we're going to drop a game to somebody, whether that be Pitt or somebody, And we're going to drop the Clemson game. That's just what I think. We destroyed a ranked BYU in 2009 and ended that season 7-6. Right? Absolutely. I remember that. We can't afford to lose to Louisville at all for multiple reasons. Ren needs to take a page out of the Kermit Whitfield playbook. Got to cook dinner for mother-in-law. Got to bounce. All right, Daniel. Beating him like an 8. Yeah, did y'all see that, man? That shit was funny. UNC was cheap shotting all night. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They were cheap shotting him. So he retaliated. The problem is the retaliation always gets caught, right? Never the cheap shot. 5-1 is reasonable. It's not out of the realm if this team looks the same. But they haven't shown that consistency. But it's not out of the realm. Akeem Dent was getting raped. Such a highly touted dude. He didn't have a good game at all. I think we're going to drop another game, Terrence. So, yeah, I think Clemson and one other game. I can't tell you who, but I do feel like it's going to be Clemson in one other game. But if you finish the season, is that a 4-2? Because you got – let me look at the schedule. Because you have 2 games after the Clemson game, if I'm not mistaken. I know you have – right now, you're going to go Louisville, Pitt, NC State, Clemson. Louisville, Pitt, NC State, Clemson. That's 4 games. You have Duke still. I think you have one more game. And I don't know who that is. But let me look it up real quick. We have one more game. So it goes Pitt, NC. Yeah, it goes Louisville, Pitt, NC State, Clemson, Virginia. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 4-2 remainder of the way. I think you'd have to take that and have to be really. I think that's acceptable because we're just counting Clemson as an L. I got it, and I think we could drop. Whether that's dropping the UVA or Pitt. I think NC State's going to be I don't think we're going to lose to NC State because I think NC State losing their quarterback is going to hurt them. So yeah. I think the losable games, like the really good ones that I see would struggle with, probably be Pitt and Virginia. If we were going to lose a second game. You said Louisville had D1 athletes. Everyone is D1 in the ACC. Yeah, I know. What's the point? What's the point of this comment? That's why I said it's possible for them to lose because they are playing Division I athletes. They are playing a guy in Tutu Atwell who definitely going to get drafted in the NFL from his speed alone. They're playing Division I athletes. That's why Florida State can lose this game. It's nothing. This team is not on a level where they can just come out there and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win." No, they're not there yet. Taggart did win at Louisville, absolutely, but that's different. You can't take stuff like that year by year. But I get what you're saying. Well, if Willie Taggart can beat Louisville, Norvell should be able to. 5-1 would be nothing short. 5-1 can changes the complete outlook of recruiting and the program. If the only game you drop is the Clemson, shout out to Mike Norvell. Akeem Dent was having technique issues. I think that can be fixed quickly. My biggest problem, if you go back and watch Akeem Dent, was he's trying to play press and completely whiffing on the contact at the beginning of the route. Like if you're going to play press, you actually have to get your hands on the receiver and stunt his route, stunt his motion. And he's pushing air and receivers are blowing by right past him. That's Akeem Dent. That was Akeem Dent's problem from what I saw. Pitt might get y'all other Clemson. That's what I think. I think Pitt is a chance. Pitt is a roadblock. I see a lot of people saying we'll beat UVA. FSU is going to put pressure on Clemson. I would love to see a competitive game in that game. I would definitely love to see a competitive game. I'm not counting Clemson as a loss till the scoreboard. I feel you. 100%, Derek. I'm with you. It's a loss, but I'm with you. Come game week, I'll have that same energy, but right now, it's a loss. Purple Goblin says Wake. We don't play Wake this year. I wish we did because that'd be a win. Am I wrong to think Norvell got too much credit and not enough blame for almost blowing that game? So I talked about that a little earlier on, Terrence. I thought the play calling got very conservative in the second half, but I also think that had a lot to do with Jordan Travis getting hurt. Um, at the end of the day, you got to give Norvell credit for winning the game. I think Jordan Travis getting hurt changed his play calling. Once he couldn't feel like Jordan Travis could throw, they went fairly conservative. I think the miscues with the receivers led them to go fairly conservative. So I hear what you're saying, but it could have been worse. I mean, let's say he does make a move and throws Blackman out there, because it's obvious he wasn't going to throw. Blackman was warming up on the sideline at one point, so it's obvious he was not going with Purdy. Did anybody really want to see Blackman go out there? Jordan Travis made plays for sure. Jordan Travis kept plays alive. Dent will improve. I think he has the raw talent. Clemson is a schedule loss. Clemson ain't North Carolina. I'm not saying they is. That's damn sure for true. If we go 5-1 and the Clemson game is competitive, oh boy. How would you have felt if y'all lost the game? I wouldn't have been surprised. The winning the game brings a whole new bit of energy and life, not only to the team, but to the fan base. Because I don't think there's one Florida State player you can name in this chat that thought that game was going to play out the way it did. My original score, I had us winning by 3, but I had us winning like 38-35. I thought we were going to be in a shootout. Our defense dominated for an entire half of football, and our offense was all but unstoppable. Only thing that stopped our offense was itself in the first half. No one saw that game playing out the way it played. That showed that this team has a little something extra that nobody's seen, that maybe this staff is getting out of them, that these kids are getting out of themselves. I expected the defense to look like it did against Notre Dame. That defense looked the worst defense I had ever seen out of Florida State. And it's, 20, 30 years that I've watched this team. That was not the case Saturday. It's not just winning the game. It's how you won the game. That was impressive. Yeah, Dent already plays field side. Sometimes he just got tired and tried bait. Yep. That too. You got to stop looking. He has to stop looking in the backfield. I don't think the coaches trust Jordan in the red zone. We don't even try. That was another thing that I'm not a fan of our red zone play calling. I talked about that too, Kenny. Yeah, they don't even try to pass it in the red zone. They have to start opening it up in the red zone a little bit more. Not a fan of our red zone play calls. Blackman would have thrown away, and that's my point, Phil. Regardless, there's no damn way Black needs to see the field. In that situation, Blackman takes 2-3 sacks, 3 and out. North Carolina ends up probably winning by 14 because the offense isn't able to sustain anything. Travis damn near begged to come off at one point. He was hurting. So taking him off the field, because if he takes him off the field, who you think we're gonna see? So I mean, I know you feel like Norvell deserves some blame for the game tightening up there at the end, and to some degree, I agree with you. But I think Norvell also understood, man, I got to keep that kid out there as a threat, even if I'm not gonna give him the ball. Like they put him out there at wide receiver on a Wildcat. I got to put him out there just to have the threat of him, because they are going to account for him, because that kid is making all the plays. Samuel was going on. The loss would have hurt, though, after being up. Yeah, so the comeback definitely would have hurt. I think if you talk about the game playing out the same way, but North Carolina comes back and wins, yeah, I think that would have deflated that team to maybe a point where I don't know if they could have recovered from. To go out there, play that hard, and not reap the benefits of that. We already know some of these guys are mentally weak. I think that may have killed this team. But if ifs were fifths, we'd all be drunk. I was glad y'all beat UNC. They're highly overrated. Blackman might not be a great QB, but he's a great. Oh, good point, Derek. let's not let's not keep bashing Blackman. Look, I'm a bash Blackman, the football player, because he's not good. But the kid, the man that he is, the teammate that he is amazing. He is as happy being on the bench as he was on the field. I mean, he's out there pumping up guys. He's the A1 teammate for sure. So shout out to James Blackman for that. POLK, 37 people turned. Oh, man, see, I should have read this before I even put that up there. Chill out, yo. Y'all be trying to start shit. I ain't even getting into that. Next, I'm going to start reading what you put on here, Yellow, before I put it up on my screen. Where's True and Malcolm Ray? Malcolm Ray, I don't know. True, we had a bunch of depth issues at tackle coming in this game. A bunch of guys fighting injury. True Thompson and Fabian Lovett were both fighting injuries. That's why Dennis Briggs getting in that game was so big for us. Malcolm Ray, haven't heard his name this season. I don't know what's the deal with Malcolm Ray. Expect us to put up plenty of points versus Louisville. Run the clock. I think we can stop them. I think we're going to put up some points too. I think we're going to put up some points. If you were the coach, what would you do in the red zone? I don't think Jordan can hit those really tight passes, but then again, I would love to be proven wrong. See, that's the thing, man. In the red zone, everything's so condensed. So that stuff we're able to do in the middle of the field with the bubble screens and Jordan Travis doing the pretty much the triple option type of pulling it. And then, that play they love to do where he runs and then flicks it. The space is too small, I think, to run those type of plays. I think what you have to do is scheme an offensive formation and get like a Warren Thompson, get one of your bigger receivers on an island by themselves, throw some fade routes to the end zone, something like that. Jordan Travis can make that. He can make that throw, right? Warren Thompson can hopefully go out and get. I would try those type of things. I don't know if the running lanes get a lot tighter in that red zone. And, I think that's the issue they're running into is figuring out how to utilize Jordan Travis in the end zone. Been watching FSU since 1988. That's when I was born, man. Clemson is due for a hiccup game. Why not against us? That's a good point, Derek. I mean, we said the same thing about North Carolina, right? Why not us? Why can't we be the team this week to go in there with the big upset? You see it every weekend. You saw Oklahoma get upset by Kansas State. Like, you see it every weekend across college football. Some top power team, top 5, top 10 team gets upset, So that's a good point. Why not us? How many wins do you see? Out of the 6 games remaining, I see 4. I see legit 4. 4-2 down the stretch. And I think that's a big plus and a positive to build off of. Anything better than 4-2, and I'd be ecstatic. Blackman is just happy to be an FSU football player. Absolutely. And I'm happy that he's happy to be a Nole. Even though the quarterback on the field, whatever. We got our own opinions on him. I'm just happy that Blackman's happy to be here. We didn't think Jordan could hit any passes at that. Exactly. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. The narrative around FSU universe was Jordan Travis couldn't hit the broadside of a barn 5 feet away from it. That was the narrative, that Jordan Travis couldn't throw 2 feet in front of him, that he was broken apparently. They tried everybody before him. And if Purdy would have been healthy, we may not have ever saw Jordan Travis. If we're being honest, guys. Remember, they wanted Tate Rodemaker to be the quarterback and run their system before Jordan Travis. And now Jordan Travis all he's done is come in, prove everybody wrong, prove that he can throw. Is he the most accurate guy? Not necessarily. Does he have the greatest velocity on his throws? No. He makes enough to be a pretty good to pretty damn good college quarterback. If you use him how he needs to be used. And shout out to the staff for using him in the right way. Who do you see in the ACC championship game? So we know Clemson is going to come down to like North Carolina, Miami. Clemson plays Notre Dame, I believe. So, and that could still end up being a rematch. But one of these one-loss teams are going to have to lose The contenders right now would be Clemson, Notre Dame, North Carolina, and Miami. The beautiful thing about it is Clemson plays Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame plays North Carolina. I don't know, but I know North Carolina plays Miami. So that will figure itself out. If I had to pick two teams, I kind of want to pick because Notre Dame doesn't play Miami. So the trick there is going to be if Notre Dame just wins out but only loses to Clemson, I think you'll get Clemson and Notre Dame. We can go to Cam McDonald in the red zone. You can do the fade route with Cam McDonald. That's a good point, Giuseppe. I think we should stick with the run in the red zone. I just find our red zone run plays to be very vanilla. I hear you. I do think you have to have the threat, though. You have to have something that makes a linebacker hesitate so they just don't trigger down and stop the run. You know what I mean? You have to have something to make that safety jump. So so they just don't trigger down and, they got 11 men in the box in the red zone, which I think is what teams are starting to, they're pretty much like they have no faith in the throwing game in the red zone. You got to do things to try to at least keep it honest. So can Terry be back in time for Clemson? That tape would be. The question is, does Terry, want to play? I don't know. According to Norvell, Terry won't be out that long. I would argue, I don't necessarily know if you're going to see Terry the rest of the year. No, Terrence, that was media. I thought he outplayed Blackman in the spring game, which is why I need to know from Taggart why Jordan was never the real QB for him. Yeah, that's the question I would love to get love to get Norvell in a room and figure out what did you see that made you think Rodemaker was better than Jordan Travis? What did you see that made Blackman to think Blackman was better than Travis? Why was Jordan Travis literally your fourth option? Because I honestly believe if Purdy's healthy, we never see him. So I said it before. I think Norvell, I'm going to give him credit, but I think he kind of lucked up with Jordan Travis. Nobody thought that kid was the gamer that he is. Do you think they should have some plays for Travis J at QB? No. For one, he can't stay. He's battling with his own injuries. And two, no. What is Travis J going to do at quarterback that Jordan Travis can't do? We know the leg. Jordan Travis has just as damn good as legs as Travis J. Is he going to be that more accurate of a passer? I don't think so. No need to do all of that. Can Terry get back for Clemson game? Some good film against that would be great. Talked about it. Kenny, I agree. I was like, this guy played QB at high school and made it to the ACC college. How can he not throw? And his brother's a baseball player. How can he not throw? Exactly. Someone needs to explain. I'll give Norvell a pass because Jordan missed both scrimmages, but someone needs to explain. We beat Pitt 24-22. If Jordan Travis plays last year, narrative on Taggart. If Taggart plays him, Taggart probably has a job here still. And we don't even have Norvell here. And Jim Levitt's probably our defensive coordinator to some degree. There's a lot of ifs there. But Taggart didn't play him. Malcolm Ray did play? Okay. I didn't see him, but that's good. No, we got to ask Taggart that too. I don't care to ask Taggart because he's not here anymore. I bet you Taggart's watching now like, damn, what was I thinking? They didn't play Jordan Travis till Taggart got fired. Kendall Briles is the one who started playing Jordan Travis. So, I don't know what Taggart didn't see. You would think coming from USF and the quarterback that had brought him all that success at USF, you would think he would have played Jordan Travis. But you heard it from me first. FSU upset against Clemson. Nobody expected it. Well, don't just say upset, Derek. Drop a score prediction. I'm going to roll up on Willie next week and see if I can get an answer. Yes, fade route jump ball is Thompson ball unless he gets interference. Must utilize height. Absolutely. Jordan Travis on the field, they have account for him. So passing plays should be able to go for a few games, but both run and pass will be available. I'll be at FAU next week. So, definitely run down on him and say, yo, what you think about Jordan Travis and why you didn't play him? Jordan Travis was hurting during the spring. That's why That is why we were so far down the depth chart. See, Derek, I keep hearing that. My problem with that excuse is that the kid was so hurt during the spring. Why did you use him in every game this season up until he started? Like, he was so hurt, but you used him against Georgia Tech, albeit sparingly. Then you come in Miami and you have a whole first drive designated and packaged for Jordan Travis, where he's getting the ball, running the ball, getting the ball in space. He couldn't be that hurt if you're just willing to utilize him and utilize him. Now, unless you're telling me that his throwing shoulder was just that messed up that he couldn't throw the ball at all, he just automatically became healthy against Jacksonville State and the rest has kind of been history. I don't know, man. Straight up, Jordan just might be one of those gamers. Not everyone is great practice players, but then lights come on. Absolutely. That's what a lot of people have kind of come up with the conclusion of, is that maybe the kid is just a gamer. And that during practice, because let's be honest, what Jordan Travis does well is improvise. His best plays, as always, when he's scrambling outside the pocket, then he either runs for a first or a touchdown, or he legit is able to scramble and hit guys, while scrambling. Those have been his most impressive throws, in my opinion, when he's scrambling. In a practice situation, you don't really get that type of. Practice is more controlled, more clean. Maybe he just excels more at improvising. I'll take JT because he's a baller and has control of the offense. 31-27 FSU smacks Clemson. Y'all heard it from Derek first. I'm not ready to go there yet. But Derek is already looking past Pitt and NC State. Derek is looking past everybody. College Jordan Travis equals NFL Tim Tebow. That's interesting. Yeah, Tim Tebow, I feel what you're saying. That makes sense. I get where you're going with that. Somehow Tim Tebow wasn't a great thrower, couldn't pass the ball, and all he did was win games over there in Denver. Stuff he does in games you won't see in practice. Coaches brought JT along slowly until they had no choice but to play him. So, finally, I'm not going to necessarily close it. I'll still keep the stream going. We can still talk. But my last real big point of the night are just my keys to victory. What does FSU need to do to win this game? And for me, first and foremost is Jordan Travis's health. And even if Jordan Travis is 100% healthy like they say, which I don't believe, there's no way that dude can go from barely crawling off the field at the end of that North Carolina game to being 100% healthy. I don't care how healthy Jordan Travis is. Chubba Purdy needs to start taking the second team snaps right now, because Chubba Purdy is going to be a similar type of quarterback to Travis, to where the offense doesn't need to learn a completely new thing with a guy like Rodemaker or Blackman, who are your traditional, drop back passers. Chubba Purdy needs to be taking second team reps right now. I'm not saying you got to list him on the depth chart at second team. He needs to be taking those reps right now. But first and foremost, Jordan Travis's health. Secondly, bring that defense, bring that same intensity. Fuller, bring that same mindset, that same simple scheme, and apply it against Louisville. Again, find Tutu Atwell early and often. I'm not saying double him. I would keep a safety over the top. I'm not saying you got to spy him, but you need to know where he is, point out where he is at all times. Clean up the penalties. You're not going to win much football games if you continue to commit silly, foolish penalties that we committed in the North Carolina game. Clean up the penalties and continue the solid special teams play. Special team has been a big key for us this year. We got to fix the field goals, but man, what if we blocked 2 field goals and 2 punts this year? So continue the solid special team play. Those are the keys. I think if FSU does all those things, they're going to win the game. To me, nobody is looking that great this football season. You're talking about football teams across the board. I've been a Noel since '88. Also, after I switched from Irish, never saw a FSU QB room with guys like Jordan Travis, Tate Rodemaker, Chuba Purdy, and Luke Altmaier. Free web and play action. I hope we don't see Chuba until he's 100% ready to come in and take the offense to another level. I agree wholeheartedly, Kenny. My point, though, is if Jordan Travis unfortunately does go down, does get hurt, as long as Chuba Purdy's healthy, he may not be 100% ready in terms of on the field. I will take what Chuba Purdy brings over what those other two quarterbacks on the roster brings. You need to be getting him ready sooner rather than later, and that's only because I believe the quarterback we got, he only has a certain amount of hits. He only has a certain amount of hits, and it's only going to be a matter of time before, that guy goes down in one of those runs and doesn't get up. It just the way he runs. I hate to talk about it like that. I hate to kind of put that bad juju out there or jinx it, whatever you want to call it. I just can foresee it. There was a couple times in that North Carolina game where I didn't think he was going to get up. Or I thought he'd be limping off the field. So just a matter of time, I feel like, unfortunately. I don't care what FSU records is. We can be 0-11, and I believe we can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. There you go. 100% no-blooded right there, Derek Thompson. Also, if you go 8-3, I'll get my first no-tat screenshot. Alo. Man, if we go 8-3, I don't want to say what I'll do because I don't know yet, but I'll think of something. If we win out, that would be crazy. If we win out, maybe I'll add some more to this one. I'll do some more stuff on this. This Noel tat I got with the state of Florida. I'll have somebody draw me up something and I'll add some more to that or something. Toll-Philly will be, or better yet, I'll do a whole show in the James Blackman jersey. Something's crazy like that. If we go 8-3. Toll-Philly will be FSU's next Amp Lee. I think so. Terrence, what you think about Amp Lee comparison right there? Man, I was right. The offense was going to be explosive with Travis. I think a lot of people thought that Killa or Kilza. I think a lot of people thought that I was calling for Jordan Travis in the spring. And then I backed off a little bit. And I said, I watched some highlights of Blackman. Looked like he tightened up his throwing motion. So, okay, we can do some things with Black. And then Blackman proved me to be a damn, fool for believing in that. So, yeah, if we win out, I'm getting a whole FSU sleeve. I don't even have a tat yet. There you go. Kenny said if we went out, he going to get an FSU sleeve. Terrence to get his first FSU tat. And I will buy the number 1 jersey, get Blackman on the back of it. I will do a whole show in the James Blackman jersey or something crazy like that. I don't know. I'll think of something better. Don't worry. I'll think of something. Red remind me of Leon Washington if throwing out comparisons. Okay. To me, the Webb reminds me more of Chris Thompson for his back injury. I'm high on Toll-Philly, so I'm with the Amp Lee. That's why I asked you, because I know you like Amp Lee too. So that's why I asked you how you felt about that Amp Lee comparison. Kusami Hayes says, if we finish the season with a winning record, do you think the start JT next season, even with Chuba's full health? Yeah. Look, you keep Jordan Travis, and Jordan Travis is your starter until you either feel like he's capped, like the offense can't go any further with him, and you feel like, i.e., Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. They had Kelly Bryant. And for all intents and purposes, people thought Kelly Bryant was going to be the starter the entire year. And then they snatched Kelly Bryant, and Kelly Bryant ends up transferring. And they went with the true freshman in Trevor Lawrence and won a national championship. I'm not saying Chuba's Trevor Lawrence or any of that. I'm saying if you feel like the offense is capped, that you can't go any further with Jordan Travis as your guy, and Chuba brings an extra dynamic, whether that's throws the better deep ball, more velocity on the throws, makes the more NFL quality throws, then yeah, you make the move. But until then, you stick with Jordan Travis. Nah, you go out there, go Samoan with the FSU shoulder tat. I'll get a Samoan tat. And like if they put some Florida State stuff in it, yeah, that might be a good idea. Do you realize this is FSU's first major rebuilding project in over 40 years, and it ain't even that bad. Clemson had it worse. They were in the position for over a decade in the 90s to early 2000s. Derek, that is one of the reasons why I think people were so hard on Willie Taggart and why Norvell's kind of getting it kind of hard is because it's not like these two coaches, speaking in Norvell and Taggart, took over programs with no talent. Right? It's not like these two coaches took over programs where you were 1-10 or something crazy like that, and they had to rebuild everything from scratch. This program is less than a decade removed from a national championship. At the point Taggart took over, they had just signed like the number 2 or number 1 recruiting class like the year prior. The year they had Landon Dickerson and Marvin Wilson and those guys. I think 2 years prior. Man, we knew this team had talent. Absolutely right. The rebuild job was a lot easier. Should have been. So we'll see. If Chuba is what everyone thinks he is, he'll be starting by the end of the year. There's so much in that throwing game we're not getting right now. I agree with that. If Chuba is healthy, ready to go, and if he is who people think he is, they may make that move. I'm sticking with Jordan Travis until I don't need to, until someone shows me better. But I understand that mindset. So can you see JT being our starter for the next 3 seasons, including this one? No. Here's the thing. Unless Jordan Travis just continue, we don't know how good Jordan Travis can be. The dude literally has only played 2 full college football games as a quarterback. We don't know how high his ceiling is, how low or high it is. We don't know how much he has left to develop, how much better can he get. So, but it's hard for me to say the next 3 seasons if a guy like Luke Altmaier sticks. And that other kid we're recruiting, I forget his name, but you guys will know exactly who I'm talking about. I think it starts with an M or Nico or something like that. Y'all know who I'm talking about. If that kid comes, right? If they start signing the quality quarterback that we think Norvell's going to bring in here, and Luke Altmaier, if Purdy's not the guy, Luke Altmaier is the guy, and so on and so forth. I think they're going to start bringing in those quality of quarterbacks. So no, I think he'll be beat out by just guys who are more naturally talented than him eventually. Go look at Jukes and the catches on that backfield that Ant Lee made back in the day. Toafili is shitty like that. Shifty. I said shitty. Shifty, but faster. Look, if we put it all together, all 4 quarters, FSU can hang with anyone and possibly pull an upset way bigger than number 5. There you go, Samuel. I don't even care about Chubb anymore. Jordan Travis is the future. This man has started 2 games and already up there with the best. I won't say he's up there with the best Jalen, but in his 2 starts, this FSU offense has looked better than it's looked the last 3-4 years. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that, right? The beautiful thing, again, I'm of the belief I think Jordan Travis has a lot more improvement and a lot more room to grow. That's why I'm not in a rush to see Purdy. The only question is Purdy in a rush to see the field, or will a guy like that maybe transfer out? I don't want I'm not saying that Purdy would do that, but the quarterback position is the one position what that I always am a fan of transfers for the most part. Because if a guy gets beaten out, there's only one quarterback on any team. Defense can't give up no more than 14 against Louisville. Secondary must play well. I think they'll give up more than 14 against Louisville. I think Louisville's got some playmakers, man. They'll do some things. That's what I'm talking about. No, it's not Chad Moscow. But these guys know who I'm talking about, man. We looked at his tape before. Is it Chad Moscow? I don't think it's Chad Moscow. It's another guy. It's another guy's name. Tyler, are you still in here? Tyler knows who I'm talking about because we looked at his tape before. I want to say it's like Nico, and his last name starts with an M or something crazy. These guys know who I'm talking about. Nico, yeah. Not Chad Moscow. That's not who I'm talking about. I lost my spot, guys. My bad. Okay, here I am. Everyone trying to downplay our impressive win over number 5, saying that we're overrated. That's the thing. I personally felt like North Carolina was overrated, but I'm not going to downplay the win because FSU hasn't had regardless. I said this Saturday in my instant reaction. I don't care if North Carolina is really the number 5 team or not. I'd say with the way if in a normal season with all the schools, Big 10, Pac-12, no, I believe North Carolina is not the number 5 team in the nation. I do still believe they're top 15 to top 10 team in the nation at this point. So, with that being said, that's still a quality win over a damn good quality opponent. That's my whole point. I don't think he's even peaked yet with 2 starts. I agree. I think we still have a lot to see from Mr. Chore and Travis. You have completely rotated Rodemaker off, LOL. He committed to Norvell at Memphis. I think he's built a smaller school like Memphis. Kasami, I don't want to say I'm writing them off. But if we, again, Luke Altmaier sticks, and the Nico kid I'm talking about comes in, is Tate Rodemaker going to beat out any of those guys? We saw Tate Rodemaker. Now, granted, I believe Tate Rodemaker was put in a bad situation and shouldn't even been playing. But I mean, I just think they're kind of bringing in more naturally talented guys. I don't want to write Tate off. Maybe with a couple years of development, Tate makes the step, I hate to just say I'm writing a kid off. So, no, I don't want to say I'm writing him off. I just, we'll see. I think Jordan Travis, with an offseason to develop his throwing, is a dangerous competitor for the QB next year. Absolutely. Administration is the reason we are in this position. Jimbo kept telling what the Orange Pussycat were doing with facilities, and the administration refused to keep up. That's why the FSU administration deserves a lot of blame for what has happened to the program. Everybody like to say FSU doesn't have money. That's a joke. FSU has money. We might not have a guy like, how Michigan has the owner of the Dolphins giving them $200 million, right? Because he's a Michigan alum. We might not have a guy like that. FSU has some big sharks in the water, though. FSU has some billionaires. It's not about being broke. It's about being cheap. Especially a lot of the older boosters at Florida State were very used to what Bobby Bowden did a lot with a little here at Florida State. When I say a lot with a little, Bobby ingratiated himself. He did not ask for big time money and big time. Bobby didn't ask for those type of things. They got used to that. Jimbo was cut from a different cloth. When Jimbo started asking for stuff, I think they're slowly starting to understand that in 2020, you have to pay money to keep up. You're talking about that white boy from the West. I don't know Tyler must not be in the show anymore. But somebody knows because we watched his damn tape. Nico, there he is. That kid, go watch him. So he's from Arizona, is it? I'm not sure where he's from, but that's his name. That kid is nice. If you haven't watched his tape, go watch his tape. That kid is a bad boy, and that's kind of their top priority. Why do you think Jordan Travis is going to lose his spot no matter if Purdy, Altmaier, or anybody, unless Weird Way Jenkins hurt, should become like? It's not that I do think, as much as I think that Jordan Travis can improve, I'm banking on just recruiting more naturally talented guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like an EJ Manuel and James Winston. Like EJ was good. Jameis Winston from day one was just more naturally gifted. I think eventually, I don't think there's a guy on the roster maybe now, even though it's still out on Chuba Purdy. Chuba Purdy could be more naturally talented than Jordan Travis and just hasn't been healthy. But with more recruiting classes, they're just eventually going to bring in a guy who you can't keep off the field. This kid's name right here. If FSU lands this kid, I don't think you can keep him off the field. Again, go watch him. He's a bad boy. This offense looks like the best since 2015, and JT is one of the big reasons for that. I like Chuba. I can't deny that, but we haven't seen Chuba. Exactly. We can like Chuba all we want. We ain't seen him, so why rush him out there? So do we not think Moscow commits in 2022? I think Moscow was a big recruit for the last staff. I'm not sure this staff is recruiting him that hard, Terrence. I don't think this staff is recruiting Moscow that tough. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Oh, yeah. And Tate, too, like him, but you just got to fix him up. Big project. Yeah, I like Rodemaker. Also, does anyone remember the last time we had to win against a top 10 team? What, probably that Michigan Orange Bowl was the last big win we had? We have had top 10. Definitely Jimbo was here the last time we had a top 10 win. I love FSU, but FSU is cheap. There you go. Derek knows it. FSU's cheap. It ain't that we ain't got money. We just cheap. We just cheap. Auburn was 2-11 year before they played us in the chip, 2013. We need to improve recruit speed and thumpers. Nico makes us a threat immediately. That's the kid. That's the kid. That kid right there. I like Altmaier too, but that kid has tape that, I don't know, man. If they can get him, that kid's going to jump on the field. I don't know if he's day one, but man. So just from that standpoint and that logic, I don't see Jordan Travis being the guy for the next 3 years. That's a long span of recruiting and all this other stuff. But the immediate future, Jordan Travis is your kid going forward. That's all I got tonight, man. This was a great episode of The Hangover, man. Everybody, man, if you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. I'm going to head out here, finish off the rest of my day, let you guys finish off the rest of your night. But this was a great show. This was a great show. Shout out to everybody who came in and showed love. Man, Louisville's coming up. Let's hope this team comes out with the best energy. You know, just come out. If you come out with that same fire and passion that you had against North Carolina, I expect good things in this Louisville game. This is a team that they could potentially sleep on because they're 1-4. But I think that makes them a dangerous team personally. I think that makes them a dangerous team. But great win. But now it's time to move on from that win. Get ready for this Louisville game. And, I will see you guys again, what should be Friday night. I'll have T2Y on here, and we'll look forward to what's going on this weekend. Shout out to everybody. So glad to be a part of this chat now. Been watching for a while with no account. Hey, Kenny, I'm glad you're here, man. Bobby, glad you came through. As always, guys, you already know. Stay classy, Seminoles. And we are out here. You guys have a great night. Go Noles.